G'day, welcome back. I'd especially like to welcome my new subscribers, and I hope you enjoy the content on my channel. If you missed the last video, you'll find a link up there, you can go watch it. Now this video is going to be a little project I've had in mind for a while, since a viewer replied a while back after I'd finished the mill that what I really need now is a surface grinder. My reply was, don't have room for one. Now, considering that the name of this channel is My Mini, emphasis on mini home workshop, everything I have here has to be literally on a small scale. And I've been thinking for a while I'd like to try, and emphasis again on try, to make a mini grinding attachment for the mill that can be taken on and off the mill. So follow me over to the mill and I'll show you what I've got in mind over there. Alrighty, now before I go any further, I want to say to the naysayers out there who like to jump all over me every time I post something, I know that rigidity is king. And I know that what you're going to see when I pan this camera down doesn't quite fit the heading of rigid. But this entire thing is nothing more than experimental, and that's the way I'm going to treat it. If it works out okay and it works fine, then I can always make it more rigid later. But I've said it before, I'm a self-funded retiree, got absolutely smashed in the 08-09 financial crisis where I lost 67% of my retirement funds, and I don't have mountains of cash to splash around, but I do like to play around and make things, so I've got to do it on a budget. So this is what I'm doing here. Now, the first thing is, when I said I want to make an attachment for the mill, I'm assuming that most of you thought I'd be driving it from here. Well, I'm not. What I'm going to do is cast up an aluminium bracket that fits over here, clamps onto that, so that won't be in there, so it'll only be this bit here, and I'll make some sort of plug up to plug the hole so it don't get full of grinding dust. And from that will come a bracket out here, and on that bracket I will mount this. It's only a 12 volt motor, but they rev pretty high. I think from memory this is an 895 or 875, something like that. And I will make up a bearing housing that will bolt in here, and it will carry this mini grinding wheel. So that's the idea there. It's only be a small wheel. Okay, now to this lot. I picked all of this stuff up here. These two rails, they're only 8mm. You know, even if they were 12 or 16, probably be better, but they're 8mm. That lead screw, these bearings on each end, and also that little flexi coupling there. Picked all that up for about 35 Australian dollars. Cheap as chips, really. And it was when I saw that originally that I thought, I might have a crack at this. I have 3 of these. They're actually the magnets from magnetic door locks or door closers, or door locks, I think. 3 of those. And I'll make up something here and then set the whole lot into some resin, then they can be ground off afterwards. Now, coming back to these 8mm rails, if I take everything off here and just push in the centre, you can bend them relatively easily. But I'm assuming that that spread out a bit, and even I could maybe even buy a couple more of these so that they could have 3 on each side to spread the load out on there a bit more. They won't flex quite as much. To drive it backwards and forwards, I've got this little 795 motor here. It's 12 volt motor as well, and I'll just drive it direct. And down in here, we nearly pulled that off there before, down at the end, each end of these, I will put some limit switches so that as it reaches each end, it'll all neatly drive itself backwards and forwards. So set the speed up so it's driving backwards and forwards, and then I just need to wind it across using the y-axis on the bed. So that's what I've got in mind. That's the plan, and we'll see how it goes. This will be part 1. It'll take me quite a while. I don't have a plate for here yet. This thing's too thin, I think. It needs a thicker plate, so I've got to go and find a thicker plate for that. That's something reasonably flat. But that's the idea, and if you want to see how it goes, keep coming back and looking at it. Let's carry on. Alrighty, so I've spent a bit of time this morning making up this odd looking thing. This will be the mounting for the grinding wheel, which will sit in here, and the motor will mount up in here. We'll have a belt that runs down here to drive it. Learned a fair bit from the vise when I cast it, and I think I've overcome most of those problems in this. And this is how I'm going to sit it in the sand, like that, so that there are literally no flat areas like no flat areas where air can get trapped underneath it. So everything is sloped. Wherever I can slope it, it's sloped, and or it's rounded, so that any air that's trying to escape has got ways of getting out. This thing will serve as serving three purposes really. One, to keep this, it was a little flimsy up here, so it's actually keeping it fairly square, and it allows for molten metal to get down into here a bit faster. It doesn't have to come around and down that way, and it also allows somewhere for gases to escape as well as out of here up that way. So that's the way I'm going to cast it, and I'm a little worried about this section just here. Actually, it's even straight up and down like that, it's kind of flat, or if anything it's high here, so I might have to get in the sand a bit more off that so that it's can't get trapped in there. But that's it. I'll sort of all just wait for the glue to dry. I'm going to sand the top part here a bit, and just clean it up a bit more, sand the back, so it's not so rough when I go to machine it. This will have to be cut out afterwards, and this will get, all of this part and this will all get cut off. So that's it. Another little, something else I've been thinking about, I don't have a boring head to bore this out, and that's almost the right size, and that's how I cut it out. It's a can of crushed tomatoes. It's just a bit smaller than the size of that thing up there, so I've just cut it up and twisted it through it to cut a hole through it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my fly cutter, and I'm going to get a little short tool that only has two screws clamping it in, and on the third screw I'm going to make up a little block, a square block with a screw in it, so that I can use it as a fine adjustment to push the tool out, and use that to bore it. And you'll see when I do it. Alrighty, on with it. I'm going to absolutely spit chips if I don't get this first go. Don't do that. And yeah. Go on, there you go. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit, oh shit. Look at this. Oh no. It's burnt a hole through the bottom. Damn it. Oh well, shit happens. Well, the one thing I was worried about was that the bottom of the form, the mould, whatever you want to call it, was too close to the bottom of the bucket, and I was a little worried that the heat might get to it, and it's exactly what's happened. I'd say it's just burnt the bottom out of the bucket, and then it just dumped it everywhere all over the ground here. That was a really complicated thing I made, and it's going to piss me off to make another one. I waited nearly a full week for it to stop raining so I could get out here and do this, and now I'm going to have to go through the whole process again. Bugger. Oh, have a look and see what I end up with. I can pull it up out of the sand, and nothing. Absolutely nothing. A little bit of crap there. Got to find something to tip the sand in, because I burned a big hole on the last bucket I tipped it into. Well, that's it. That's all I ended up with. That's the like a skin from the outside of it. This little bit that leaked out on top of that brick. And this great lump here. What a pisser. Oh well, back and start again. Alrighty, so that's the last piece. Thankfully Mark II hasn't taken me as long to put together, and you wouldn't read about it, it's just started to rain. Well, it's Friday today, and I'm hoping that Sunday will be a nice fine day, or at least in the morning, so that I can have another crack at casting this. So I'll get a coat of plaster on this afternoon, so it's got a couple of days to dry. And then I'll go out and try and find a steel drum somewhere so I don't suffer the same problem. I think next time I might even put a piece of steel plate in the bottom underneath this, so if it does break out of there, the cold steel plate will hopefully make it freeze over and stop it from pouring out of there. Alrighty, on with it. Alrighty, while that bit of foam's out there hanging in the sun, having the plaster bake on it, well, it's actually a nice day here, the sun's out. I'm hoping it's the same tomorrow morning. I thought I might as well get on with machining up the bearing housing for the grinder wheel. It'll have two of these 6001 bearings in the front, and this is the front, and a single small bearing in the back. 12mm shaft this end, 8mm shaft on the back. So let's get on with it. I just had a thought, he only drilled that for one bearing, not two. After using DROs on the mill for a while, I think I'm going to have to get some for this thing. Looks a bit much. Oh Jesus, that's just a bang on. Hopefully that size there is about a press fit size, just to make sure I'm deep enough. This battery's about to turn off too, so... Rightio, shank from there. That should be that end finished. I should have chased one of these things up sooner. It was only $6, 150 baht. I've resisted using cans up here in the past, but I don't have enough sand left to fill this big bucket, so I'll have to get some more. So I've put that on there just to get the height up a bit, and hopefully if I can pour it cleanly into there, it won't be spilling it all over the place. But anyway, hopefully it'll be sunny in the morning and I'll get this done. Alrighty, here goes nothing. Looks like I might have the perfect amount. Well, that looks pretty good. Get out of it. I want to get that can off there before it solidifies. Get out of it. No big deal, I can chop that up and use it later. Another time. Alright, now we play the waiting game, let it cool down. Alrighty, so it's been 20-25 minutes since I poured this, and I'm really hoping that the sand is not hot enough to melt that bucket like the last one. And I'm hoping this came out really well. Come on, out you come. How hot is that sand? It's pretty bloody hot. That's pretty damn hot, that sand. Don't want to melt the bucket, wife will kill me. Burn a hole for the one just over there last time. And we have a winner. Yeehaw, yippee-ki-yay. Oh, so glad that that turned out properly this time. That's a winner. You beauty. Alright, onwards and upwards. Alrighty. I had a hell of a time cutting this sprue off here. It's hard to hang on to it. Righto, so much for trying to keep this square. This is quite a bit higher here than it is over the back. But anyway, I've got it set up as well as I could. I did cut this bit out underneath here, that brace, because I'm hoping it'll hold it more rigid, and then once I've machined the top off, then I'll go and cut that bit out of there. Anyway, unfortunately I've got to machine it that way. I've got to go this way with the table, which is going to throw everything at me, so not ideal. But anyway, we'll get started, see how we go. This looks like it slopes away here, and I'm going to have a hard time maybe getting all of that, but I don't really care, because as long as this part is flat and maybe across there a bit, that's all I really need. Now you noticed I'm still using the old collar chuck. The new one I bought's in the rubbish bin, where it belongs. Piece of garbage. I've ordered another one. Alrighty. Just get out of there a bit. Not going to hit any of that. Nope. Well, this could take a while till I'm getting the full cut. I'll bring you back later. Well, I've had to take just under 2.5mm off it so far to get it to a full touch all the way across. So I'm just going to make one more pass, and guess what, it's raining, and see what it looks like. The rain's getting a bit heavier. It was obviously springing a bit out here, because you could see it on the way back. It was making a fine cut across here and just rubbing on the back over here, so it's obviously a bit of spring in it. I don't know, I want to take too much more off that, it could end up a bit too thin. Anyway, it's gone lunchtime ages ago and I'm hungry, so I'm going to go have something to eat. If you've been enjoying this video up until now, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a great big thumbs up, because it helps me a bit, helps spread the good word. Alrighty, the rain was absolutely teeming down there just before. You could hardly hear yourself think. But anyway, while it was doing that, I wasn't all that happy with the finish on here, so I dragged out one of the 0.8 radius tips that I had and ran that across it. That's giving it a nice finish on there now. And then another thing I did was I wanted to see how I was going to go with boring this out using this. I had to take the tool out and grind a relief on the back edge here, because when I first started my cut it was rubbing on it, so that solved that problem. And I've been down there a couple of times now. The problem is I've got more fly cutting to do, and I can't really afford to chop this tool down. I ordered another one so I could cut this one down and still have a full length one, but I ordered it 6 days ago and only shipped the damn thing yesterday, so God knows how long it'll take to get here. And if I cut this one down now, I might not be able to machine it full width down here. I'll have to wait a week till the other one gets here. So I'm just going to loosen these bit by bit and tappy tap, and just a bit of a bit and a bit and a bit and a bit. I'll do that tomorrow. It's getting a bit late in the day now, and I'll continue with trying to bore that out. Well, today is the last day of Buddhist Lent. It traditionally signifies the last day of the wet season, or the end of the wet season, and wouldn't you know it, it's raining. Anyway, onto this thing. Glad I didn't take any more out of that yesterday afternoon, because I'm just checking it. I want to take absolutely no more than about 0.1 of a millimetre all the way around, and without that little adjusting screw I wanted to make, I'm in for a bit of a tappy tap tap, just to try and get that 0.1. I think that might be about it actually. Anyway, I don't want to cut this too big, because I'll never be able to clamp it. It won't clamp properly up on here. Anyway, we'll check it out and see. I'll take it down and see what it looks like. Wish I had a little flat-ended tip for this style gauge. I'll bring you back when I get this set up. Alrighty, here goes nothing. I. go. The wood is a little loose on there, but I think it might be alright. Alrighty, so the only things left that I want to do while I've got this clamped up in here like this was to mill that off and run down this side, because I want to make a little plate up to screw on this side to give it some support this way. But I can't get it far enough that way, and I can't get it far enough this way the way I got it set up, so I'll have to set up again for them. But anyway, we're out over 20 minutes again. I really hope you've enjoyed this so far. If you did, make sure you come back next week for part 2. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.